All right, so far we've learned the basic CRUD operations and the validations inside of a MongoDB. Good stuff, big stuff. But from now on, we can add new types of models into our student model. So let's assume that every student in our model has more than one article. So what should we do in order to add these articles into our application? Okay, so stop thinking. I'll tell you. Creating a new model called article, adding our records inside of it. Isn't that what you thought of? So, like this diagram, we have two different resources, which includes our necessary data. Namely, every time that we create an article, it will be engaged by one student. Well, NoSQL databases like Mongo brings us a different approach. Let me show you what I mean. So like I said, we assume that one student will have many articles. So instead of creating two separate models, one of articles and one of students, we can create a single model called student. And then inside of this model, we would collect our list of articles related to existing students. For example, Jason has an article property here. And inside of the article property, there are several title properties that can be stored. So we'll call this approach nested records. This, my friends, this is the core and strength of Mongo. All right, anyway, to make this subject really clear, we'll study a different model. So in this model, we have a student model, and inside of it, there's a student schema. Name and article count property, and article count property will include a list of articles. Now, besides, there is an article schema as well, and it has a title property. So you already see the important thing right here is that there are not several models. There's just schemas. So in the article schema, there will be codes that describe what type of article students should have. So before we start, we'll keep in mind that we'll create an article schema, not an article model, right? So first of all, we're going to create an article schema, which only contains a title property, and then wire our article schema up to the student schema so that our student schema will know that it has an embedded article list inside of it. You follow? Oh, and by the way, I want to add that in the mongoose world, these embedded documents are called subdocuments. So just to remind you, our student model is referred to as a document. All right, so let's go back to VS Code Editor, and inside of a source folder, we will create a new file called article_schema.js. Now, yes, I have used schema in the file name because it's going to mislead us if I call it article.js. But this way I can differentiate it just by looking at it. All right. So inside of this file, we will create an article schema, export it, and we'll use it inside of a student.js file. Okay, so now let's import Mongoose here. And I'll pull a schema from Mongoose and create our article schema. And we'll describe the title property inside of it. It would be a string. Now, of course, you can add extra properties in here, but this time I'm just going to leave it as it is because our goal here is learning embedded collections just by using simple examples. But anyway, I'll just now add the export statement. Okay, so let's switch to the student file and import the article schema at the top of the file. All right, so now we've come to the important step. We're going to wire up the article schema to the student model. How are we going to do this? Well, it is actually really simple. Inside of our student model, we add the articles property, which should be an array of article schema. And that's all. So when Mongoose sees this property here, it's going to notice that it is an array. And it'll infer that there should be a nested document. And by that I mean subdocument. That's pretty cool. So in the next session, we're going to test it out and see if these embedded documents actually work.